Welcome to You, Me, and the Dogs, the podcast where we explore the wonderful world of dog ownership. Join me every Wednesday as my guests and I share personal stories, insights, and experiences, of course, with dogs. So today I'm taking a stroll with Rachael, who owns All Tails Wag and is proud owner of Olivia and Lincoln. Hi.
Hi.
So I looked at your website and I wanted to ask you one thing. The statement of like, you're the antisocial dog. Where did that come from?
So my friend Genevieve and I were discussing, Lincoln. Oh, you probably see the squirrel. We were discussing because her and I are very like introverted. So like I won't talk to people unless they have a dog. And it's so funny because like I could talk to someone for hours. Like I just met some people here yesterday in Georgia and they all have dogs. So I was able just to talk to them about like dogs for the entire time. But it's antisocial, social dog mom because it's like most of the time I'm antisocial and it's not that like I'm trying to be rude or anything like that. I'm just uncomfortable. So I get like really bad social anxiety and I don't know what to say and I don't know what to talk about. So it's not that like I'm trying to be disrespectful or rude. It's just I get so uncomfortable and then I can't think of topics to talk about. But if we talk about dogs, like I have endless things to talk about. So that's really what it is. And it's funny because like I had a 4th of July party at my house a few years ago and people were like, Rachel's not antisocial. And my mom was like, yes, she is. It's just because you guys all have dogs.
I think it makes it, like, I agree with you. It makes it very, like, you could talk about dogs because that's a commonality.
And then the other part of it, too, is that people will talk about your dogs, too. So it's like you're not having to think like, oh, do I talk to them about the weather? And then, okay, after we talk about the weather, like, what do we say next? Because I don't know anything.
That's how my mind works, too. My mind is like, okay, well, we talked about, like, how hot it is. What else can I say? Or like, and then I start thinking like, okay, well, look in their clothes. Maybe their clothes like say something. And so it's very inside mine.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it even applies to like dating. Like I will Google, I'm not kidding. I will like Google questions. So that way I have like multiple questions to ask because so that way like I'm prepared and like I have them and I'm like, okay, after we talk about this, like here's another thing because like I don't know where to go next. And then if they don't say something with a conversation or even if like they ask me a question, I'm like, wait, do I ask them that question back? Or like, do I ask them something else? And like my head just overthinks everything. But like when it comes to dogs, I could just talk about them forever.
Yeah.
And then it also like, even if we don't always talk about dogs, which I mean, we primarily talk about dogs, but even if we don't, but then it at least loosens it up. So then I'm not so much in my head.
Yeah.
And then I can talk about other conversations. And it's not just like, oh, wait, okay, topic. Then I'm like, oh, the trees. And oh, look at these acorns. And oh, the kids.
Yeah, it's like a gauge.
Yeah.
Like, when it's like a dog parent, you're like, okay, well, I've gauged them with the dog.
Yes.
Let me gauge them this way. I don't know. It's easier. So I totally agree with you.
And it's funny because I have like these new neighbors. I just moved to Georgia like less than a month ago. And even if they have a cat and not a dog, and I've never owned cats, but it's similar. It's
like a pet.
Yes.
It's a pet.
So we start talking about their cat and I'm like, it's a little more awkward because I'm like, okay, what's the question that I ask them next about their cat? But since I've been doing it with multiple people who have cats, that I'm like, okay, this person talked about this and this one did this. So like now I have another question to ask.
So how are you adjusting to moving?
I love it. I mean, they're living their best lives. Like yesterday I took them up Kennesaw Mountain, and they loved it. It was amazing. I mean, it's just like, I mean, you're from Florida. Well, I don't know if you're originally from there, but you live in Florida.
Yeah, when I lived in New York, I got a complete mindset switch.
Yeah.
Where it was like, live, like you're mostly outdoors.
Yep.
Like live outside. Yep. Your apartment could be the tiniest thing. And like, that's your best life is going out. And then when I moved back to Miami 10 years later, it was like, I hate this place.
Yes. Oh, no, I get it.
I hate that. So traveling, that's like another reason why I'm doing this podcast is to kind of like get a feel for different places.
That's awesome.
And seeing how other people live with dogs.
That's awesome.
Because it's different.
It's very different. Very, very different. It's amazing because the people here all love dogs. I've had so many people in and out of my house to like give me quotes or do different things. And like, they all love the dogs. And I'm like, that's not like that in Florida at all. I mean, you'll get people here and there, but not literally. Like, we went to a candy store today and it says dogs allowed. And so the dogs are in there, they're living their best lives. And it's great for them because they get the mental stimulation, they get the socialization and all that. And then it's good for other people to meet, really friendly dogs.
Okay, so the mountains here are not that bad.
No, the mountains here aren't crazy. That's the thing. And moving here with my mom, who didn't want to be in the environment like you're saying, because she's scared of hills like that and mountains like that. And she didn't want to be in like some crazy snowstorm or anything like that. So we got the best of both worlds here. I could drive to Tennessee or North Carolina or somewhere else. So it's nice. You should move here. You guys would love it.
I love Atlanta.
I mean, it's funny because I asked someone, I'm like, because they say they live in Atlanta, but they live here. And I'm like, my understanding of Atlanta is like 45 minutes south.
So how was the process with finding your home here?
It wasn't hard. It really wasn't. I mean, I had an amazing realtor who I met and we did everything virtually. She's FaceTime me and everything like that. Yeah.
Oh,
and so, yeah. But I had met somebody who had moved up here and done it all virtually. And like, after she told me that experience, I was like, oh, okay, people do this. Okay. So then like, I had the confidence to do it myself.
So tell me about All Tails Wag and like, how did that start?
Sure. Yeah. So I wanted a lot of bandanas for Olivia's birthday party. And I looked online and like, I didn't find anything I really liked. And so my mom was like, oh, I used to sew back in the day. She's like, I could probably sew dog bandanas. So yeah, I got her a sewing machine and she sewed 20 bandanas for Olivia's friends for her her first birthday party.
So now how do you do it? Do you still continue? It's like you and your mom?
My mom's, yeah, she sews everything still. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's good too because like she wasn't, or I mean, she's not working still, but she hasn't been working and like she was a little depressed about my nephew like growing older and going into school. So it like gave her a sense of purpose too and like helped, with her self-esteem because now she has something to do. So it works out well with that. She's, busy doing things. She enjoys looking at fabrics and sewing and doing all that, and she's good at it. So I can't sew at all. But it makes her happy. So, and then the other thing too is because of the business, she was never the type of person to dress up her dog or do anything. Now her dog, she dresses him up. She just dyed his tail. When she, like last week, she dyed his tail. And like, she was never that person, but now she loves her dog in like a different way. She's not just like a dog owner. She's like a crazy dog mom, which is great because like I could see like the difference in the happiness that she gets from Jackson.
During COVID, my father was pretty lonely and he actually passed away, not because of COVID, but he passed away because of loneliness.
Oh, wow.
And then he developed he just wasn't active anymore. So basically his children, including me, got scared and we were like, you're not going to go out. So we took the keys away. And in, March, by September, he passed away. And so that importance of the elderly, for me, I see elderly people and I'm like, I will help you.
Yeah.
Because even though they live their life, there's always a beginning again,
100%.
So, helping your mother out by accident even, because you were like, I want to fulfill this for my dog's birthday, and you discovered something that she's like, I love this now.
It really does because a lot of times they'll feel like they lose their sense of purpose and then they age, much quicker and things like that, or they get depressed or anything like that. It's good that you've been able to take something that's so hard and so difficult and make it positive and say hey, I see how this affected my dad and I don't want anybody else to go through that. But it's crazy when how depressed people can get when they, live a certain way or do things. And then it's like, well, now I don't really have a reason to get up in the morning because like with my mom, like, oh, I'm not seeing my nephew or taking care of him or helping and doing this. So it's like, being here though and having her dog now, I think having her dog really helps her also because it's like, she has to wake up in the morning and take him out and go through that whole thing.
Active.
Correct. Which I'm working on with her and trying to get her, like today we did go on a hike. It was not what I expected because there was no shade. It was super, super hot and it wasn't so easy to get to the creek, but we still went, and then we still went out with the dogs and it 100%, like, I mean, there are days like I feel anxious or depressed and like I don't want to get out of bed, but he doesn't let me because he wants to play ball. Every time I go out, I laugh and I have such a good time. And like, if I didn't have him, I wouldn't be going outside. I wouldn't be doing a lot of things. I mean, yes, I like hiking and I've always gone hiking on vacation, but it's a much different experience now of like, it's always been vacation. I brought my dogs like here and there, but it's kind of limited after having an anxious dog. Probably gets its anxiety for me. I wonder, I'm like, if Lincoln was with a different person, like, would he be so anxious? But then I look at Olivia. Olivia's not. So she gets separation anxiety. And that's why I got Lincoln for her. But she's not like an anxious, like, he's a loud mouth breather who's like always anxious.
I don't know. I think it could be like a 50-50.
Yeah.
Like, it's like their personality, but then something in you kind of brings it out more.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
It's interesting because my mom's dog doesn't have a high prey drive, but my two do. But they're going to take a snake course actually here next month. So, I mean, I'm doing everything I can. I got rid of the English ivy in the yard to try to keep it safe for them. And we're going to go to the class. Oh my gosh, last weekend, Jackson, my mom's dog, who's not very like prey driven or anything, we're hiking up. I see him, like I have my two dogs and I'm taking them, whatever. My mom's climbing up and whatever. And he's face to face with a snake. And I scream and I'm like, Mom, you better grab Jackson. There's, about a snake. And so she grabs him. And I don't know whether it was poisonous or whether it wasn't. Like, I didn't have that much time to pay attention to the head and be like, oh, is it sheep like this or like this?
No, I know.
It's
and you were panicked.
Yes.
So you're like,
I'm like,
whatever.
just solution is figure out the solution first. If God forbid he got bit, then you figure out what kind of snake it is. But at that point, like, you focus on what's the most important thing, which is get the dog away. So, but like, he wasn't trying to bite. He wasn't even trying to play with it. He was just sniffing it because he was like, oh, what is this thing? Mine, Olivia probably would have been they would have been doing something and gotten bitten. So that it's different here. Even though in Florida, there are a lot, like a water moccasin killed my childhood dog. It's okay. So, but yeah, I mean, they're in Florida too. It's just, in Florida, we have bufo toads, right?
Yeah.
So I built a toad barrier fence in my backyard. Like, I've lost, multiple dogs traumatically and everything. So it helps with my anxiety a lot. So it took a little while of getting here to be like, wait, we don't have bufo toads in Georgia.
So how did you meet Genevieve?
So we met on Instagram and her dog Winston became a model for All Tails Wag is how we met. I don't know, we just started like talking and it was like a deep connection. And then, we really, really developed, like, she's one of my best friends.
My best friend I met because of my dog, or my best
that's
friend
amazing.
I met because of Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I post my dog or whatever. It's kind of crazy what it's creating.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my friends Lauren and Michaela, I met them because of the dogs. And like all of they actually live in Georgia and all of our birthdays are in July. And we made plans to go out at the end of July for our birthdays. And it's only because of our dogs. That's why we met. I mean, yes, I have other friends that I had met. I'm in recovery. So like my other friends I met because of recovery. And like we share, like they're still my best friends and I love them. But when it's like doing things and making plans, it's like I want to go out and take them hiking. My friends will like tolerate it because they're my best friends. But if they had the choice, would they want to go on a hike with my dogs? Probably not.
Exactly.
But they would because they love me, whatever.
Yeah, but it's like really awesome to see like these communities of dog parents coming together.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I've been a dog person since I was like a kid, but it's like next level now because there's been like a safe space to like explore, and then other people, and then you just like feed off each other. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you want to do this with your dog? Like, I've been taking my dog with me everywhere since I was young, but like a lot of people didn't back then.
No, right.
And now it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it's not like weird that I'm taking my dog everywhere.
And it's all because of this community that has been growing. I think like starting COVID maybe, or maybe a little before, but
That's
COVID
true. I never
kinda-
thought about that that's what really caused it to grow. Because I got them, they're COVID babies. So you're right. Yeah, because my other dogs, like I would do stuff and take them places and stuff, but I didn't really have the community of people to do it with me. And I was kind of like a weird person for taking my dog
no,
places.
I felt like that way too. But then, like I'm saying, then this other thing happens. Like I thought about it the other day where I was like, my dog Dolly didn't, like she never ate raw.
Yeah.
You know, she ate shitty kibble.
Yeah.
No offense to people that
No,
eat
I get
kibble,
it.
you know, but like she would go out, but it wasn't to the level of how it is now that it's very acceptable.
Yeah, 100%. So I was doing raw with my old dogs years ago because I always had pits and they had such bad allergies, and I tried everything out there. So I found a Facebook group. I fed them raw until the day they passed away, and they never had issues again. With Olivia and Lincoln, Olivia's very picky. She refuses to eat organ meat. She refuses to eat most muscle meats. She really likes, she's ridiculous. She really only likes chicken, but really only likes chicken bone, really doesn't care for the muscle meat of the chicken. I was trying everything to give her the organ meat, and I'm like, I'm not going to give
this.
you.
Yeah, and
Yes.
you're like, you need the organ.
I'm like, I'm not going to give you just chicken bones for dinner. Like, that's not balanced, and you're going to probably die of having too much calcium. I switched them to an air-dried food. And then she was having allergies still, so I switched her to a cooked food. And she starts her shit all the time. Like, with not wanting to eat the cooked food, she doesn't want to eat turkey, and all she wants to eat is the beef one, which is weird because normally she's not a big beef fan. She loves chicken, though. I might do an elimination diet with her, but it's so hard because she's so picky.
No, but you know, there's a lot of people that have that same issue.
Really?
Yeah. I wish I could give you a solution, but it is very, like, depending on the dog and their activity and their biome and all this stuff.
And then I have this one who has never missed a meal. But that was the problem, is I used to let both of them eat together. And so they would go back and forth. And by back and forth, I mean mostly like eating Olivia's food. And so he gained a lot of weight. He's lost like 10 pounds in like a couple of months. Because I'm like, dude, you're going to like have issues with your joints and stuff if I don't get this under check. So like, I know he's a big dog. I know the chances of him having hip and joint issues is high as it is if he's healthy. So part of like my amends with Olivia and Lincoln, because I was on a lot of drugs when I had my first, two dogs, my first dog, is like my amends is doing things better. Like I didn't know any different back then with Sasha. So now, like, I know better, and it's like, okay, like, part of it is making sure they eat better food, making sure I take care of them. And it's so interesting to me, like, how so many people just treat their dog like a dog and not like a family member. So, like, hopefully more people, like, with people taking their dogs out more places and doing stuff can, like, educate people, and so dogs don't get their paws burnt.
No, I agree. Do you mind talking about your substance abuse and your...
Yeah, we can. So I got clean on 10/10/2012.
When I read in your website, it was like you tried to commit suicide.
Yes.
And it's kind of like a taboo thing, like, for example, my parents got divorced, and there was a time there with their divorce that it was something I couldn't handle. Like, I was like, why? I'm in the middle of this, like, let me just get out, And it's so taboo because then other people would be like, well, your life is so valuable and you have so much to, but at that moment, it didn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, I don't know if that's too personal, but
I don't care.
What made you, was it because you were in a bad company or there was something in your life that wasn't fulfilling?
When I attempted suicide, like I was on a lot of drugs. So I had like no self-esteem, no self-worth. I didn't enjoy anything. Like I was alone. I had no friends. Like, although yes, I technically had my family, like my brother and I had no relationship. Like, I mean, my mom and I have always been very close, but it was different back then. And I just literally like, I was just so miserable and like, I thought life would never get better. It was just like a cloud of doom of like, all right, well, this is all life is and it's miserable and I hate it and I hate myself and I hate everyone. So what's the point? And so that's why I attempted suicide in 2012. And, oh, sorry, buddy. It's, crazy to think about like how much I've been able to accomplish since then and like how much I've been able to work on myself. And it's sad, because yes, people will look at you and say, wow, like she has everything and she has this and she has that. But it's like they don't understand like the demons that you're fighting and the mental health issues and the anxiety or the depression when it's like I wasn't showering or getting out of bed for months. Like I wasn't taking care of myself at all. So like they may have seen something on the outside, but like that's because I was on drugs. So like it would give me like a little bit of like,
it would give you a high.
Yep.
And then a quick low.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. So like, yeah, I'd be able to get out of bed, but then it was like, then I would come down, like I couldn't stay high enough, long enough to like get rid of those feelings. So then it just got to the point that I was like, well, there's no point. And, so at 28, I attempted suicide.
But you say it so like, I don't mean like, you say it proudly, but
yeah.
with like, because it is, everyone has a demon.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Like regardless if it came from childhood or it came from relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people find it so taboo, and I don't know why, because it's like, it's a natural thing.
100%.
It's a natural thing, and that demon could make you do things that even you didn't think you could do.
Yeah. And I think that like why I'm able to like speak about it so freely is because I've been in recovery for almost 11 years. So like we talk about our feelings and we process things, and I've gone to a lot of different types of therapy and all that. So, and also like the majority of people that I hang out with are in recovery. So, like they understand, and I go to meetings and I have a support system and I have a sponsor and I have a therapist and, all those type of things. And like, I'm not ashamed of it because I'm not that person anymore. And like, if somebody wants to judge me for being the person that I was like almost 11 years ago, then you can go fuck yourself, because I guarantee you have some issues that like you need to work on yourself. And like, if you want to judge me for, being at the lowest point of my life that I thought it wouldn't get better, trying to kill myself and then changing my life, then I don't want you in my life. And like, so, I mean, there have been like a couple of people here and there that not necessarily the suicide attempt, but more like the issues with addiction, that they judge and whatever. And I'm like, if somebody wants to judge me for that, then that's fine. Like, I don't want them in my life, because so many people struggle with so many things. And that's the thing about it. Like, if you sit there and you look down upon somebody for struggling, whether they've gotten help for it or not, like, nothing's good is going to come out of it.
Right.
Like, so what? You're going to talk down to someone like, oh, you're depressed, you're a piece of shit. How does that help them?
No, it doesn't.
So, it's either like, there's just no reason to be mean about it. So, and like, I feel like if I'm able to talk about it freely, so many people have reached out to me and been like, hey, I struggled with this, or I'm struggling with this, and blah, blah. And like, the truth is, I've been through so much in recovery, between one of my dogs drowning in my pool, another dog being killed by one of my other dogs that I adopted, boyfriends dying of just so many different things. And like, because I've been able to speak freely about it, people have reached out to me. And they're like, hey, I went through something similar. Hey, I went through this. And like, I didn't have to self-medicate by taking drugs. And I didn't have to go online and blow all my money because I needed something on the outside to make myself feel better because I felt empty, or I didn't turn into I didn't gain a whole bunch of weight or lose a bunch of weight because these are unhealthy coping skills. So, thankfully, I've been fortunate enough to, find a community of, Narcotics Anonymous. So since I just moved up here, I met a couple people in recovery, but not that many. But it'd be nice if I was able to meet people in recovery that had dogs. The thing is that there are so many people that have dogs that even if they don't have, it's not about the drugs. That's the thing. It's not about what I chose, it's about the fact of struggling with mental health issues and using something that wasn't healthy. So and I've been able to meet people in the dog community with similar issues. And so it's been cool that I could talk to them about my feelings, and I can talk about how, if I'm anxious, I can pet my dog or I could do something with my dog. And they're not wow, you're freaking crazy.
And that anxiety.
Yep.
The other thing is that anxiety goes away.
Yes.
My inner roommate tells me you're boring. I'm talking to the person and my brain is that's so stupid you said that. But it's this.
It's true.
This evil thing that's in your head and you're shut up.
And nobody else thinks it, but then you're your hardest critic and everything. And then, for sure.
And so even that thought process is a mental health issue.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And people don't, there is that movement of let's get mental health and stuff like that, but I don't think it's to the point where it needs to be.
No.
Because I think everyone goes through something.
And if people are able to talk about their feelings more, we would have a lot less issues. We would definitely have a lot less issues, if people are able to talk about things and not feel like they were going to be judged.
Exactly. Because that's the thing. It's the judgment.
Yeah. And sometimes it's seen as a weakness, but thankfully, I feel very comfortable talking about it, and even sometimes newer people, and I'll just talk about it. And then I'm whatever, if they have an issue with me just being open about it and saying, about me struggling with something, then they're not my friend and it's not somebody that I want to be friends with. Yeah. So, I'm not going to go out to my neighbor just randomly and tell them. But, I went to dinner with my mom and some friends recently, and we started talking, and I told them about my suicide attempt. And one of them, her son died of an overdose, and he had a lot of health issues and stuff. And one of the other friends was talking about how her daughter has mentioned she wants to kill herself. So I was giving her some suggestions, but it's just by me being myself and being open and being honest about my feelings, she felt hey, this is a safe place. And who knows, I'm not saying I'm not, powerful to save this woman's life, but who knows? You really don't know what impact you being honest and you being vulnerable and you just being real could make on somebody's life.
Exactly.
It's just, so hopefully, she'll help her daughter. And, but I do know that she is a safe place for her daughter to speak about her feelings, which is amazing. So at least that's cool. But I think since I've been clean, there have been a lot of changes towards promoting mental health awareness and all that. But there's still, there's still stigma associated with it. But thankfully, I don't really see it. I just, I'm aware that it's there, but I don't experience it that often. And maybe it's just because I don't really care. It's I'm just going to talk about it openly. And if you don't.
No, because you say it so this is what happened. And that's it. Very genuine to it.
Yeah.
That you're just you empathize with it rather than judgment.
Yeah.
And you say it so it could happen to anyone.
100%. I'm no different. I grew up in an upper middle class family. Granted, yes, my dad died in active addiction and stuff like that. But to me, I didn't really understand it back then. But because all the different people that I've been around and just all the work that I've done on myself, it's part of my past. It doesn't define me today. Not to say that I can't struggle with suicidal thoughts still or anything, but it's an action of my past. I'm not that same person. I've worked hard on myself to be a different person who still struggles with mental health issues. But, thankfully, I've been able to get a lot better tools to deal with it. And, I've been able to build a support system. So if I am struggling, like I can reach out and I know who to talk to, and like I know healthy ways to get out of it instead of, going and buying 12 pairs of shoes or something to make myself feel better.
And some people probably don't see that as like abnormal.
No, probably not. And like, that's the thing. It doesn't have to be drugs. It doesn't have to be food. Like it doesn't have to be something where like I can understand like, okay, a shopping addiction can become a huge problem, especially when it's like you're buying shoes over putting food on your table. So like, I'm not in that place, but even if I'm not in that place, like me going out and buying 12 pairs of shoes to try to make myself feel better, even though it's not going to change whether I could put food on my table tonight or not, it's going to temporarily make me feel really good, but then I'm still going to have that problem. So like, unless I address that problem, and it's not even going to feel good. So like, hey, if I really want 12 pairs of shoes, like buy them, but don't buy them because I'm trying to fill a void. And like, that's what I've had to learn over the time, is like, you have to learn healthier ways, and like, they are such a healthy way, by getting out and like going hiking with them or getting out and doing something with them, playing ball, doing whatever.
It's very like a hot topic, but at the same time, I feel they ridicule it still.
Yeah. I think it depends on the people that you're around. Like, thankfully, because like the people I've surrounded myself with don't act that way. But I mean, I'm sure there are people like, I remember, so my tattoo right here, this clock, it's on 10:10. And I remember I was in a gas station and someone asked me what the clock was. And I was like, oh, it's just a date, whatever. And I walk out of the gas station or get ready to. And then I walk back in and I was like, no, you know what? I'm like, I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm like, this is the day I stopped using drugs. And the man was like, wow, that is so cool. And like, here it was, like some random guy at the gas station. I thought he was going to judge me, and just that fear of some guy I don't even know working at a gas station, which like, not that I would ever see him again, but like that fear of me of being judged by someone in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter. Like, it's not like it was, someone that would continue to be in my life, but just a random, stranger. Yes. Like, I can understand, okay, like if you are just like dating someone new and like their family and stuff, like, yeah, the idea is for them to be in your life long term. So like, yeah, you may not want to do certain things, but like someone that I'm probably never going to see again, and I probably never saw him again, but like so scared that he's going to judge me for that. And so that was super, super cool. But the majority of people, oh, okay, buddy. The majority of people that I talk to have been very accepting. But I don't see a point of hiding it. Like, this is who I am, and I struggle with mental health issues still. I still have anxiety, and I still, more so anxiety, but I still sometimes struggle with depression, and, it's a struggle, and it sucks. It really does. I wish, that there was some solution just to stop it completely. There's not, but like, I have healthier ways to deal with it, and for the most part, like, I'm able to like stop it before it's a full-blown panic attack. So yeah, he's one of them.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to know more about our guests, read the show notes down below. Please hit the subscribe button if you liked us, and it would be even better if you would leave us a review. See you next Wednesday.